What you're seeing now is full annihilation, not just triumph. Your foes who oppose you are disappearing like flies, unable to continue opposing you since the truth is now undeniable. They've reached their breaking point and just quit up. They just cannot defeat you, regardless of the techniques they use or the alliances they form. Not only is the battle going your way, but it's over completely. The weight of your overwhelming might has forced the formerly dominating resistance to dissolve. They failed, they tried, and they're finished. Your tremendous supremacy is more than just amazing. Examine your surrounds at this very cosmic moment. The foe who once protected you is now crumbling like an old structure, succumbing to the passage of time. They thought they were in charge, so they planned, slandered, and flung everything against you, including every weapon, word, and wicked purpose. Now watch the incredible descent. They are crumbling one by one, worn out and broken, and their influence is fading like morning mist. Some of their potency is gone. They are now the ones running, hiding, and crumbling beneath their own deception, as the war they started has turned against them with the force of a cosmic tsunami. You sit immobile, watching as they disintegrate in front of your eyes as the universe protests against them. The whole fabric of reality rejects the poisoned energy they have injected into creation. These paper tigers used to roar fiercely, but now they just cry and mumble. They gathered like vultures around what they assumed were your imminent demand eyes. How pathetic they seem today, spreading everywhere, frantically seeking refuge from the maelstrom of repercussions that darkens their horizon. The oppressors are now crushed by the weight of their own hate. Hunters are now hunted, while predators are prey. Remember those arrogant smiles, those confident declarations of your imminent doom? The cavalier disregard for your perseverance. Look at their faces now. Fear takes the place of pride. Uncertainty replaces assurance. And desperation replaces certainty. They hardly recognize themselves in the mirror. Because the transformation is so complete and thorough, their downfall is not gradual. Rather, it is disastrous. It's like seeing buildings crumble, their destruction caused by the immaculate physics of karmic retribution, with each layer of dishonesty toppling upon the one underneath it, gathering velocity with each level, until what began as a little fundamental fissure becomes a complete structural collapse. They are stunned by the explosion, which has led every effort to undermine you to backfire with incredible severity, much like a truth boomerang. Every untruth they spread has gone full circle, striking them squarely and leaving them with lifelong scars. Each effort at character assassination has only boosted your reputation while permanently harming theirs. They labor so hard to develop sophisticated systems of your destruction and set traps for you, only to fall into them themselves. They're crushed by cosmic ironies. Perfect, poetic justice. They set flames, which spread to consume their own havens. The cages they built became into prisons, and the holes they dug became their burial grounds. Nobody trusts them anymore. As a result, their manipulative tactics are useless. Instead of seeing your humiliation, the crowd gathered to watch it. Witness now belongs to them. The burning light of revealed deception has eroded their credibility. They are left feverishly looking for a way out, much like morning dew. However, the same obstacles they place in your path prevent you from leaving. Nothing remains of their once powerful arsenal. Only rust and dust, with the harsh aftertaste of lost promise. The weapons they built against you are smashed at their feet. The soldiers they raised have deserted them, and the resources they acquired have been depleted in their futile battle. You're here for a purpose. If you feel called, answer it. Click Join to get access to rare information, in-depth insights, and a strong community. This is not just a membership. It is an awakening. Step into your divine mission. Join the chosen. Take a look at their well-designed assault methods, which they were really proud of and would eventually destroy you. These similar systems are now spitting and malfunctioning, with warning lights flashing, smoke pouring from overheated components, and gears grinding against one another. They injure themselves with the machines they created to kill you. Their assaults were meant to be precise surgical strikes at your weakest points, yet they have proven spectacularly inaccurate. As their coordination fails, they end up hurting their own comrades and missing their goals. Commands are misconstrued, and communication connections malfunction. The prevalence of friendly fires is increasing. What began as a well-planned assault devolved into a succession of fragmented, strategically inconsistent individual actions. There are psychological assaults on you, such as gaslighting, subtle undermining, and continuous challenge. Your reality has shattered into transparent deception, which no one can accept. They have divulged their strategy, publicized their tactics, and made themselves visible to even the most casual observer. What was needed careful detection now makes itself known with the subtlety of a carnival barker. They made an even bigger effort when they saw their techniques weren't working and you remained unbroken despite their best efforts. They abandoned all pretense of principle in their frenzied determination to ruin you, pushing the limits with more aggressive actions. Because they were dissatisfied, they decided to remove their carefully built masks and show their genuine selves to the world. When the veneer of morality shattered under hardship, the unpleasant truth of their nature was revealed. In their frantic efforts to maintain the offensive, they sacrificed the image they had worked so hard to establish. Every effort to silence the truth simply made it louder. Every effort to distort reality merely revealed its outlines, and every shift of perspective made the deception more evident. They attempted to control the tale, but it slid through their fingers like fine sand. Witness the frenzied tempo of their increasingly erratic assaults, the last desperate gasps of a war nearing its end. Hear the trembling in their voices as they strive to preserve the appearance of control. Notice the widening of their eyes when they realize nothing is functioning. Feel the transformation as their wrath transforms into pure, unequivocal terror. The desperation manifests itself in absurd claims that defy reasoning. Outrageous comments. However, even their most devoted supporters exchange confused looks and complicated conspiracy theories that contradict their previous positions. When rational explanations fail them, they retreat into the fantasy realm, creating intricate mythology to retain their supremacy. And you remain exposed. Observe them and chuck everything at once. No more. Calculate risks. No more strategic patience. There are no more regulated answers. Just the thoughtless terror of those who refuse to face their imminent loss. Reputations built over decades are now being risked on desperate final stands. Resources that should have lasted months are now depleted in days, and friends who should have remained are being sacrificed in futile sorties. Once focused and disciplined, their internal talks devolve into finger-pointing and blame-shifting. Who didn't expect this pushback? That was the one who misjudged our opponent. Who's to blame for this disaster? The questions resonate through the ranks, sowing doubt where trust once flourished and separating where unity once reigned. They expected you to respond, to lose it, fight like them, but you never did. They were famished because you failed to them the emotional reaction they sought. They sought confirmation of your misery as well as justification of their own existence. They required your participation. Your silence in the face of their assaults echoed louder than any resistance, and you demonstrated a power they couldn't comprehend by enduring the brunt of their attacks more than any counterattack could ever accomplish. Your reluctance to play their games shattered their illusions of power. They were hovering like vultures, waiting for you to fail so they could apply pressure until you gave out. Rather, their own weight forced them to collapse. They were depleted from inside by the energy required to carry out their deadly objective, leaving only empty shells of who they once were. Your strength resided in your capacity to continue growing while under assault, not only in your ability to withstand their strikes while they focused all of their resources on killing you. You focused on producing. You powered yourself by constructing while others defined themselves by opposing you, and you defined yourself by your commitment to purpose. Your unwavering commitment damaged their tale. They told everyone that you were going to shatter, disintegrate, and give up. But you persisted every day, defying their predictions. You persevered, weakening their credibility, and you remained on your course day after day. Nobody could overlook the growing gap between what they predicted would happen and what really transpired when their false assertions were revealed. Their increasingly frantic actions contrast strongly with the respect with which you conducted yourself throughout their assault. You talked quietly while they roared. You moved exactly as they started a furious attack, and you maintained order while they devolved into chaos. You're not here by chance. If you sense a tug, a deep feeling that you have been selected, now is your time. Click the Super Thank You button and contribute $100 or more to get deeper insights, unique information, and a path that corresponds with your divine destiny. This is not only a gift, it's a proclamation, a step toward being the person you were intended to be. Take the call, walk with us, and totally embrace your destiny. Your adventure starts now. The realization that you are stronger now than when their campaign began is what crushes their spirits the most. The resistance that was designed to kill you instead made you stronger. Their resistance has honed your strength. Their morale is severely harmed by the revelation that all they did just reinforced the exact creature they were attempting to defeat. Don't be fooled. God is not mocked. Whatever one sows, he will reap. Galatians 6-7. Allow me to tell you something today, my friends. God's justice is perfect. His timing is flawless, and his balance beyond human comprehension. It's like a farmer distributing seed around his field. He may not see the harvest immediately, but the earth will not forget. The soil accepts all seeds, good and evil, and as the seasons change, it produces precisely what was sown. Some people cultivate kindness and receive favor. Others instill dishonesty, hostility, and pride. And when the time comes to harvest, they are astounded at what crops up around them. They believe they could change the world with their own hands. They believe they could distort the facts, manipulate the system, and walk away unharmed. They whispered falsehoods, devised traps, and erected deceptive castles, certain that the universe's rules did not apply to them. But let me tell you, God sees all heaven's ledgers that precisely record every transaction, and the balances of justice do not tilt in their favor just because they demand it. And now the weight of their own wrongdoing is bearing down on them. The allegations they level at you have transformed into chains around their own wrists. The deceptions they weaved have turned into webs. They can't get away from the fact that the same system that brought down others is now working against them. The blade they sharpened is now at their neck, and the hole they dug is their last resting place. Oh, they believed they were untouchable. They smiled as they schemed, certain that their dominance would remain forever. But they overlooked one basic reality. Neither the cosmos nor God forget. Every nasty word, every sneaky gesture, every deceitful plan. It was all recorded. And now the bill has arrived. You see, they see themselves standing behind strong walls, tossing stones from above, certain that nothing will reach them. But God's justice is like a storm. It does not request permission to enter. It travels with precision, removing everything that defies his holy order. Every stone they flung back with terrible precision, hitting not just their bodies, but also their souls. And now my buddies are tired. They're exhausted. They battled, clawed, and misled, only to find themselves alone in the rubble they created. The same energy that they used to dampen your light has left them in complete darkness. The passion they used to harm you has become the same fire that destroys their control. The ground underneath them trembles, as if the earth itself rejects their evil. You did not need to fight them. It has never been the forces of nature, the rules of creation, or the Almighty himself who has put things in motion. You didn't have to raise a finger since their acts had already judged them. They see it now. They feel it now. Their plans are crumbling. Their confidence has faded to bewilderment. And what started as a crusade of righteousness in their own eyes has tragically turned out to be the exact thing they professed to be fighting against. This is not a coincidence. My friends, this is a correction. This is not misfortune. This is compensation. This isn't persecution. This is a prophecy fulfilled. And as they drift into irrelevance, their voices lose force, and their influence dries up like a desert stream. Know this. The universe did not choose sides. It just returned what had been provided. So stand steady. The chosen ones rise tall. Don't be afraid of their loudness. Do not be bothered by their machinations, because they are already undone. The tables have turned. The tale was altered. and justice was served in full measure, pressed down, mixed together, and ran over. Hallelujah! Like cosmic play, the startling self-destruction unfolds, with each discrepancy between stated principles and real action exacerbating the foundation flaws until the whole building falls. Those who wanted accountability have walked away from responsibility. Those who claimed moral superiority are engaging in atrocious hypocrisy. Those who desired openness are revealed for their concealment. With each defection weakening the surviving structure, each abandoning reducing available resources, and each betrayal providing new intelligence to be used against them, their most loyal lieutenants begin to quit the ship in greater numbers as they understand the eventual end. As critical supports are removed one by one, the collapse accelerates with each passing hour. The biggest betrayal of those they trusted the most comes from inside their own ranks. Dealing with them, the lethal strike is driven by self-preservation, disillusionment, or the fundamental human urge to be on the winning end of history. The same individuals who once supported them are now plotting their doom. Internal papers are leaked, confidential conversations become public, and covert plots are revealed. They collected people to watch your demise, drew people together to witness your death, and made you the focus of a show. But now those same folks know the reality. The audience they formerly controlled has turned on their old masters, unleashing the anger of the betrayed. The witnesses they summoned now testify against them, and the spectators who came for entertainment stay for justice. The friends who previously stood shoulder to shoulder with them have distanced themselves for fear of being soiled by connection. The defenders who earlier justified every action are suddenly mute, unable to construct convincing narratives around such obvious wrongdoing. And their followers have fled them, horrified by conduct that can no longer be overlooked or justified. They reveal themselves because their falsehood was untenable. You did not have to do it. The veneer of morality has collapsed under the weight of its own contradiction, much like a balloon bursting at the seams. Their beautifully built illusions have been washed away by the unstoppable force of truth, which they have so desperately fought to conceal. The same individuals they courted are now ignoring, insulting, and excluding them. The limelight they sought now just reveals the blank space where their credibility previously existed. The adulation they desired has turned into the rejection they deserved, while the attention they craved has turned into the scorn they dreaded. The unrelenting flood that sweeps them away is the public impression that they have worked so hard to create. What began as private misgivings has escalated into public professions of resistance. What began as individual inquiries transforms into collective calls for responsibility, and what began as isolated criticism expands into widespread condemnation. Former supporters now claim that they were tricked and never fully understood the true intent. They distance themselves from the calls they formerly supported, exclaiming, "Had we known then what we know now?" The plot shifts. We were misled, which adds to their isolation and confirms their loss, while we stood united. Previously, they liked this weapon. Their ultimate humiliation now takes place on social media. Every post attempting to recapture the narrative is buried behind a mound of contradictory information. Every assertion that attempts to rewrite history is quickly fact-checked and discredited, and every call for devotion is answered with screenshots of previous betrayals. Their whole work is now widely distributed by the same venues that fueled their ascent. Not only did you survive this onslaught, but you thrived in conditions that would have destroyed lesser species. The fire of their assaults has only helped to remove impurities, leaving you stronger, more purified, and more precious than before. You have become untouchable, much like valuable metal in a furnace. Your root is revealed by the lighting of your genuine power. Your energy is protected by the unbreakable barrier of purpose, and your eyesight is clear due to the contrast between darkness and light. You keep moving along the high road as they scamper about in the wreckage of their unsuccessful efforts. Each action they took only reinforced you. Every attack forced you to improve your defenses. Every deception forced you to make your truth more evident. Each obstacle challenged you to learn new talents. Instead of eliminating you, They fueled your growth into something much more powerful than they could have imagined. You are now climbing to a new level of power that would have been dormant in the absence of their opposition, while they wallow in the devastation they have wrought. Your potential energy has been turned into kinetic force by the pressure applied. The resistance they supplied built your spiritual muscles, while the difficulties they brought stretched your potential beyond all previous limits. Those who may have been fooled by slander may now see the distinction between what was stated about you and what has been confirmed to be true. Your reputation has been purified in the furnace of their assaults, and your integrity, which was brought into doubt by their charges, has been shown unshakable. Your aim, which was called into doubt by their propaganda, has been proved indisputable, and your character, which has been tested in public, has been demonstrated to be strong. You benefit from the clarity that comes from this conflict, something your foes did not anticipate. The distinction between constructive and destructive is now generally understood. The boundaries between genuine and artificial are now clearly defined, and it is easy to tell the difference between truth and lie. Your vision for the future, which had previously been obscured by the smoke of their assaults, now shines with dazzling clarity. The exact resistance that was designed to derail you from your path has forced you to articulate it with hitherto unknown accuracy. This transparency creates an environment in which your genuine talents may be properly evaluated. The chaos that was supposed to drown out your message has instead resulted in quiet, allowing it to be heard clearly. The opposition, which was supposed to divert your energy, has instead focused it with laser intensity. There is nothing else for them to do. Every technique has failed so spectacularly that no adjustment can reverse it. Every strategy has failed in such a catastrophic way that no modification can salvage it. And every plan has shattered so completely that no reinforcement can save it. Their resources have been depleted by excessive usage. Their reputation has been tarnished by relentless publicity. Internal blame has wrecked their relationships, and a series of defeats has sapped their drive. They are unarmed and deconstructed in front of you, unable of providing even minimum resistance. Nothing but smoldering embers remain where their hostility once raged. They have completely burned out. The fire of their hate had devoured its own fuel. The ferocity of their hate has consumed its host, and the intensity of their campaign has exhausted its leaders. Even those will eventually cool to ash and be spread by time's winds. Their only alternative now is to depart, feeling powerless, ashamed, and dejected. Their loss is not temporary, but everlasting. Their withdrawal is not strategic, but necessary. Their submission is not voluntary, but inescapable. The white flag that they fly is not a ruse. Rather, it is an honest acknowledgement that a contest has been concluded, not because you say so, but because fact prevents any other conclusion. Some of them attempt to rewrite history by claiming they were never really against you. Others attempt to negotiate deals as if they still had cards to play. Others make public pronouncements full of euphemisms that barely cover their capitulation, while others simply leave into the night, hoping that their departure goes undetected. However, the recognition that continuing is impossible is a feature shared by all forms of surrender. What completely breaks them is the certainty of their failure. This is extinction-level failure. Their campaign has ended. They are credible and influential. It's not a setback from which they can rebound, a momentary setback that can be overcome, or a deliberate retreat to fight another day. When they recognize the severity of their situation, even the most tenacious among them transform from resistance warriors into exiles. There will be no more charges against you. No more prophecies about your doom. No more propaganda that undermines your message. Only the awful quiet of ultimate loss. The lack of sound where there was once continual commotion says volumes about the extent of your triumph. This stillness allows your words to be heard clearly and unfettered. This win is a long-term reality rather than a temporary gain. It is not a temporary benefit, but a permanent condition. Continue with the aspects that contributed to your victory, creating a new equilibrium where your success is the norm. Future generations will remember this triumph as the turning point in history, and its impact will extend well beyond the conflict itself. Philosophers will evaluate this achievement as evidence of deeper principles at work underlying the seeming disarray, while historians will see this as the dividing line between what was and what may be, with all obstacles removed, all opposition eliminated, and all pathways open. You are on the verge of endless possibilities. The focus that was previously required for survival may now be directed on flourishing. The strength formerly required for resistance may now be channeled into growth, while the energy previously required for defense can now be directed toward creation.